and welcome to your Cricut 102 workshop today. So there's a lot to get through. There are 3 parts to this workshop. In the first part, I'm going to do a quick recap of what we covered in the Cricut 101 workshop. So if you've not already attended the Cricut 101 workshop, you might find that useful before we go through this workshop. It really just depends what stage you're at. After that recap, I will take you into Design Space and I'll give you a live tour, taking you through some of the more advanced actions, commands, and the layers panel within Design Space. And all of that will give you a lot more knowledge to help you manipulate and create your own designs. And then finally, in the third section, what we're going to do is a live make along. So you can join in with me if you'd like to, and we're going to make a layered vinyl sticker like this one here. I've put it on a water bottle. You can put it on whatever you like. So we'll make that together. You can make that at your own pace, so you can pause and play and fast forward as much as you like. Right, let's start off with the recap of Design Space 101. In the Cricut 101 workshop, what we did first of all was give you a bit of an overview of the different machines and the materials available in Cricut. So we have the Cricut Joy, which is our most compact cutting machine, absolutely brilliant for everyday projects like cards and stickers. Then we have the Explore family, which is a slightly larger range of machines which have slightly more features available to them. They are fantastic for larger scale projects, really great for paper crafting because you've also got the addition of the scoring stylus in the Explore machines. And then finally, we've got the Maker range of the machines, are all singing, all dancing, most powerful and versatile machines available. There are so many different tools and accessories available on the Maker, but there is not much that this machine won't do. We also talked about Cricut Access. Within Design Space, you'll see that there are thousands of fonts, images and projects for you to use when you're creating on your Cricut machines. Against many of those fonts, images and projects, you'll see this little green A here. And that means that that item belongs to Cricut Access, which is the subscription service that you can choose to subscribe to if you would like access to all of those items. You don't have to sign up to Cricut Access. There is a free version, which still gives you a reasonable number of images, fonts, and projects. But I would not be without my Access subscription. It's absolutely amazing. There are seemingly countless images, fonts and projects at your disposal if you choose to subscribe. And you also get additional savings on top. For example, 10% off all Cricut.com purchases, which includes machines as well. Then we talked a little bit about creating your profile within Design Space. Here you can see is Kesley's. It's a really great idea to set up your profile in Design Space. It means that you can communicate with the wider Cricut community, you can share your projects, you can find your favourite creators and designers, and it's just really an absolutely great way of staying connected to the community. I would highly recommend it. And then we talked a lot about how to use Design Space. This is the home page here, so we talked about the various sections on this page, and then we went on to the canvas. We talked about the design menu on the left hand side here, which is along the bottom if you're on a smartphone or a tablet. We touched upon some of the features on the edit menu up here at the top, and then we created our own sticker to make a notebook like this. So we covered quite a lot of ground in Cricut 101. If any of that seems unfamiliar to you, I would recommend that you go back onto Cricut Learn and use CCAT's the Cricut 101 workshop just to catch up. Okay, now on with Cricut 102. So let's flip back onto my screen and I'm going to take you into my version of Design Space. I'm going to be using my desktop version of Design Space for this workshop, but I'll be sure to mention where to find the various different commands if you are using a smartphone or a tablet at home. So the first page that we come onto is the home page here, which should be fairly familiar to all of you. I'm going to click straight onto New Project to take me onto the canvas. So this section is a live tour. You don't need to make along with me at this point. Just sit back, relax, take it all in. And because you're watching the recording, you can always pause and have a little breather whenever you feel that you'd like to do that. I'm going to start off just by clicking on shapes over here on the design menu on the left-hand side, and I will add a circle onto my canvas just by clicking on the circle. You'll see that as soon as that circle appears on the canvas, it also appears on the layers panel here on the right-hand side. If you're on a smartphone or a tablet, you can go into the layers panel by finding it along the bottom of your screen. At the moment, this circle is selected, and we can see that because it has this box around it, but you can also see that it's selected because the layer is green, so it's kind of shaded on the layers panel over here. If I click off the circle and unselect it, then that box disappears and the circle layer on my layers panel is no longer green. So you can select or deselect an item simply by clicking on it on the canvas or by clicking on it on the layers panel. When that circle becomes selected, you will notice that two of these quick actions up here at the top of the layers panel become live. So I'll deselect it again and you'll see that none of those actions are live. But if we select the circle again, then these two actions here are possible. These are quick actions because they are very, very commonly used. So they're up here, easily accessible at the top of your layers panel. If you're on a smartphone or a tablet, you'll notice that these quick actions are along the bottom of your screen. So have a look for them down there if you're on one of those devices. Let's start off with duplicate. So with the circle selected, I'll click on duplicate and you'll see that my circle is perfectly duplicated. So now I have two on my canvas and I also now have two layers on my layers panel. You can duplicate more than one item if you have more than one item selected. So let's select both of those circles now. I can either do that by dragging my cursor over both of the circles on the canvas. You'll see they both become selected over here on the layers panel, or I can click on them both on my layers panel by holding down my command button at the same time on my keyboard, and then I'll click on duplicate again, and here we go. Now we have 4 circles. So that duplicate button is a really quick and easy way of duplicating anything on your canvas, be it shapes, images or text. To quickly delete something from your canvas, you can use this next button here in the quick actions section, which is delete. So with these 2 circles here selected, I'm going to hit delete and there we go, off they go. You can also hit delete on your keyboard if you find that quicker. You may decide that you would like to delete something temporarily and you might want to bring it back into your design further down the line. If you'd like to do that, let's go into the layers panel. I'm just going to hover over this layer here and you'll see a little eyeball on the right hand side. If I click on that, it will mean that that layer is hidden, but it's only hidden temporarily. If I'd like to bring it back at any later stage, I can simply hover over that eyeball on that layer again, click it, and then it will return onto the canvas. So that's a really handy tool to use during the design process. If you want to try out different designs, perhaps you're not quite sure what you'd like to do, you can add as many things as you like to your canvas, but you can hide them and bring them back whenever you decide. At the moment, I can move my items about on my canvas independently by just clicking on them, selecting them. I can also change size by dragging the corners out if I wanted to. We talked about that in a bit more detail on Design Space 101. And another thing I'm going to do now, just because it's going to make it a little bit easier for you to see in the next steps, is I'm going to change the colour of these 2 circles to yellow. Because what that does is it means that the cut lines and the outlines of these 2 shapes is now much more visible to you than when they were dark grey. When I select more than one layer on my canvas, you may have already noticed that this 3rd quick action here also becomes live. So if we just select one layer, you have these 2 actions live, which I just showed you, duplicate and delete. But with 2 layers, or basically more than one layer, selected, you also have this 3rd action which becomes live. I'm going to keep those 2 circles highlighted or selected and click onto this 3rd quick command, which is group. So you can now see that those two layers have become grouped under the group command up here on the layers panel. And you'll also notice that they now have one box all the way around them on the canvas. So whereas previously I could move the items around independently on the canvas just by clicking them and moving them or changing the size, whenever I try and do that now, that affects both of the layers that I have grouped together. You can select those grouped items just by clicking anywhere on any of them on your canvas, and you can see that that selects your all of your grouped items, or you can click on group on the layers panel. But interestingly, if you would still like to make changes to one of those items, you can still do that. You just need to go into your layers panel and select the layer that you would like to change. So if I select this one here, you'll see that actually now it's just selected that one layer. And if I try and change the size of that, that will just affect that single layer. So group is a really useful tool for you to group items together here on the canvas during the design process. However, when it comes to actually making a project, the group command actually doesn't do anything at all. So let me just click quickly on Make It to demonstrate that to you. Let's just say I'm on the mat for now. You'll see, so previously on my canvas, the small circle was above the large circle, a little bit like a snowman. And now Design Space has moved them across next to each other to make best use of our materials. So it hasn't kept the two circles grouped together in the way that I had asked it to on my canvas. And that is because group is simply a design tool that you can use on the canvas, and it doesn't bear relation to where the items are next to each other on your final make. If you decide to ungroup these grouped items at any point, it's really quick to do. You just select your grouped items and then you go back up to that group/ungroup button and you press that. And then they are two separate layers again. Okay, so that is our quick commands up here at the top of the layers panel: group, duplicate, and delete. And just to remind you, if you're on a smartphone or a tablet, you'll find those along the bottom of your screen. Now I'm going to take you to some of these more advanced commands at the bottom of the layers panel. And you'll find these on a smartphone or a tablet within the Actions menu along the bottom of your screen. The first one I'd like to show you is Attach. So I'm going to select both of those two circles again. So remember, I can do that by dragging my cursor over the two items on my canvas, or I can just click both of the layers on my layers panel. And now let's click on Attach down here. And it looks pretty similar to how the two circles were when we grouped them, but there's a vital change this time. And I'm going to demonstrate that by clicking on Make It. And you'll see that this time the circles have remained in exactly the same position that I wanted them to on the canvas. So whereas group is a grouping tool that you can use on the canvas during the design process, attach actually means that anything which is attached together on the same layer remains in the same place in relation to the other attached items when you actually come to finally make it. It's worth noting that anything that is attached needs to be the same colour. Your machine will automatically assume that because you want those attached items to stay in the same positions relative to each other, that you are cutting them out of the same material or the same coloured vinyl, for example. Let me just demonstrate that to you. So if I was to click on one of the layers in my attached items and I go up to change the colour, let's go pink, it will change both of those items to the same colour because they are attached to each other. Let's just go back to yellow again. So attach is really useful if you have multiple items or layers on your canvas for one project and you'd like them to stay in position in relation to each other. Just like group. If you decide further down the line that you would like to detach those items from each other, you simply go down to where that attach button was before with the items selected, and you can click on detach. There's just one other point that I'd like to mention on attach. So if I move one of these circles down just by selecting a single layer on the layers panel so that they are touching each other, and now I click on make it, you will see that obviously my layers have stayed in the same position relative to each other because they are attached, but there's still a cut line in between each of the two layers. So the two circles will be cut out individually even though they are attached to each other. Now I'm going to go into this combine menu down here. Again, you will see that within the actions command on the bottom of your screen if you're on a smartphone or tablet. This can get a little bit complicated. So what I've done to illustrate the combine menu commands to you is I've saved out a little project that I made earlier. So I'm going to go up to my stuff up here and find the project. This is the one here, combine features. So let me click on customize and it should bring it up onto my canvas so that I can take you through each of these commands. Okay, so if I click on the combine menu, you'll see these options here will become available to you. So we have unite, subtract, intersect, and exclude. There's also weld up here. I'll explain that as well in a little bit more detail. But these are all basically various ways of combining items on your canvas to create different effects. Right, we're going to start off with unite, which is the top one in the options down here in the combine menu. They have a really handy little icon next to each of these commands demonstrating to you what that command does. So unite is a way of joining together different items on your canvas to become one layer. Let me show you. We'll start off by adding this text onto the canvas. So I'm going to click on text over on my design menu. I'll just move it over here for you. Let's write in hello. I'm going to change that font to a kerned font. I think I've bookmarked one here. Yes, I have. So let's choose this one here. So then you can see that the letters are going to be all joined up. I'll just make this a little bit larger so that you can see. And I'm also going to make it yellow again so that you can easily see the cut lines. Okay, let's also add a couple of hearts onto this project as well. So I'm going to click on shape and then add in one heart. Let's move that over so that it is touching my hello, and then duplicate that heart so that we have another heart over here. Make sure that that heart is touching hello as well. Now I'm going to select all three of those items on my canvas. So remember, I can do that by dragging my cursor over them, or I could, if I prefer, just select those three layers on my layers panel. And now with those three items selected, the three items that I would like to unite, I'll go down to the combine menu and click on unite. And you will notice that wonderfully, all of those cut lines have disappeared. And this has actually all now become one piece of vinyl. Well, there'll still be a gap between the H and the E, but essentially anything that is touching each other and then you unite becomes joined. Any cut lines disappear. So unite is absolutely brilliant for making stickers and designs made of multiple layers that you'd like to be all one layer or one colour of vinyl, say, without any of the cut lines in between. Okay, we'll make that one a little bit smaller and move it up and then move down onto subtract here. So if I just go back down onto the little icon, you can see that the image here, the little icon, is slightly different to unite. And what subtract does is that it cuts out the uppermost item from the bottom layer. So to put that into context for you and for you to think about how you might use subtract whilst you are making on your Cricut machine, I think this is a really fantastic tool or command to use when you want to create some kind of frame or aperture for something. Let me demonstrate that to you. So on the insert menu on the left hand side here, I'm going to add in a rectangle. Let's just move that across. I'm going to make this one yellow as well now, just so that you can see it a little bit more easily. Make it a bit larger. And then we'll add on top of that rectangle 3 more shapes. So let's do a star. Ooh. And a couple of hearts. Doesn't matter where they are. There's one. Let's duplicate that one. There we go. Okay, so again, let me select those 4 items, the 2 hearts, the star and the rectangle. I've chosen to drag my cursor over the items on my canvas, but remember you can just select them on your layers panel if you prefer. And this time we'll go down to the combine menu and click on subtract. And there we go. You can see that now it has cut out the 2 hearts and the star from that rectangle. And it's worth noting again, as per usual, that at the moment they are subtracted. So they're now kind of one subtracted layer. But if you wanted to change a single one of those layers, you can just as well go in to the layers menu, select one item and change that. There we go. Whilst we're talking about subtract, I just want to draw your attention to one of the other commands here at the bottom of the layers panel, and that is slice. So slice is really similar to subtract, but whereas with subtract, you can subtract multiple layers, with slice, you can only affect that change to 2 layers. Let me just quickly demonstrate. So I'll add a rectangle in again onto the canvas. I'll just make it yellow again so it's much easier for you to see. And then let's add one other layer on top like that. And I'm going to select those 2 layers. And you can see that slice is available to us. If I was to add a 3rd layer, so another heart, for example, onto that little group of shapes, select them, and then you can see that because we've got 3 layers on there, slice is no longer available. So we'll remove one of those hearts again. Whilst we're at it, actually, there's another command I really want to show you because I use it all the time, and that command is align up in the edit menu. So say you would like something to be aligned in some way with something else. For example, I would like this heart to be centered in the middle of the rectangle. I'm going to select those 2 items and go up to align here on the edit menu on the top. If you are using a smartphone or tablet, you'll need to go down to the bottom of your screen, find the edit menu, and then you will see align in there. And then you'll see all sorts of different align options. They are so handy, and you know what? They make such a difference when you're creating your projects because it means you can get things absolutely perfectly lined up with each other. So I'm going to click on center now, and you can see that the heart is now centered in the rectangle. Okay, where were we? Let me select those 2 layers again, and this time go down to slice. And you'll see that my layers have been sliced, but this time, in contrast to subtract, we have retained the cut out layers as well. And that can sometimes be really handy. So we've got the original rectangle with the cut out heart. We've got the heart that has been cut out, and we've got the original heart layer as well. So to recap, subtract will remove anything that's sitting on top of something else, and slice will do really similar, but you can only do it for a maximum of 2 layers, and it will also retain all of those layers, whereas they are removed or subtracted with that subtract command. Okay, let's remove these sliced items from our canvas and move on to intersect. So if we look down to the icon here on intersect, and basically it's going to combine 2 shapes but give you a new shape that only consists of the overlapping part. Let me just give you a quick demonstration. So let's add a star onto our canvas. As usual, I'm going to make it yellow because it's so much easier for you to see the cut lines when it's a lighter colour. And then I want to add a leopard print over that star shape. Let's move these 2 a little bit further out of the way. So I'm going to go over to images on our insert menu and just type in leopard print over here. We'll undoubtedly have lots and lots of options because Design Space is so amazing and full of so many different images. Oh yep, we do nearly 4,000 results just for leopard print. I'm going to select this one here, which is perfect for my needs. Select it, click add to canvas, and then you will see it appears on the canvas. I'm going to make it smaller so that it just covers my star shape, like so. So we've got those one over the other, and if we select them both and now click on intersect with both of those layers selected, you will see that it has removed very cleverly anything which wasn't overlapping. So we're just left with one shape within the confines of the other shape. This is such a handy tool for creating some really, really cool designs that you might want to use as vinyl or iron-on vinyl perhaps to adorn garments. I've also used various different patterns within text as well to create some really cool effects. Okay, so that's intersect. We've got one more that I would like to show you whilst we're here, and that is exclude. So whereas with intersect, we retained anything that was overlapping, what exclude does is it removes any overlapping sections of the selected shapes. So again, you can achieve some really, really cool effects using text and shapes with this action. Let me show you again. So let's add some text onto our screen. Mr. and Mrs. I might just change that font again to something like this. And then let's add that heart over the top. Make it a little bit larger. And then let's just center those again. So I'm going to select both of those layers, go to align on the edit menu, and this time I'm going to click center horizontally. There we go. So I'll select both of those layers, the heart and that text. And this time on the combine menu, I'm going to click on exclude. And there we can see it has removed anything that was overlapping and it's kept everything else. This is a really cool tool for you to use when you're creating your own designs that you might want to apply to, I don't know, mugs or t-shirts or vinyl onto labels or books or whatever it is that you want to create. You might want to just have a quick pause, stretch your legs, go make a cup of tea before we start to go on to a few more commands and actions for you to broaden your Cricut knowledge even further. Or perhaps you want to have a little bit of a play on Design Space with those commands that I have just shown you. Right, we're back on my canvas in Design Space, and there's one more command down here at the bottom of the layers panel, or in the actions menu along the bottom of your screen if you're on a smartphone or tablet, and that is contour. In order to demonstrate that for you, I'm going to click on images on the design menu over on the left hand side or the bottom of your screen on smartphone or tablet. I'm going to type in gingerbread. Just going to choose one of these images, this one here, and click on add to canvas. So you can see that there are various different parts to this image that I have chosen from Design Space. And you might decide when you're making a project yourself within Design Space using the images that there are certain parts of that image that you actually don't want. So say, for example, I might want to add a name across this gingerbread person, in which case I would need to remove the buttons and the 2 pieces of icing or ribbon along the arms. A quick way to do that is to select that layer, and you can see that now contour has become live. So if I click on contour, and then a version of that image is now on the screen with all of the different parts of that image brought up as different contours. To remove something, you can either find it on this contour panel on the right hand side, or you can just select the items that you would like to remove by clicking on them here. So I'm going to click on all 4 buttons and these 2 pieces of ribbon, and then you can see that they become highlighted on this contour panel on the right hand side as well. So there we go. When you're done, simply click on the cross and you will see that all of those contours that I clicked have now disappeared from my image. How clever is that? If you decide at a later stage that you want to bring any or all of those back again, you just click on the layer again, go back down to contour, and then you can reselect them and they will reappear on your image. There we go. I clicked on the buttons and there they are back in their original position. Contour isn't possible for every single image in Design Space, but it is worth just checking because it is possible on a lot of them. Okay, that's all of the actions that I'm going to show you today. My best advice to you is just to have a play around with them, have a little bit of fun, really get to know them, and then they'll become second nature to you when you're actually creating within Design Space, and you'll be able to think of lots of different ways that you can use them. I did, however, whilst we're here, want to show you a couple of extra bonus bits in the edit menu, which I think you're going to find really, really helpful. So let's go back to my screen for one more time in this section for me to just demonstrate those to you. I'm going to start just by adding a rectangle onto my canvas. Again, I'll make it a nice light colour so that you can see it clearly. And you'll see just by that colour change box up here, that was under a command that says operation. If you're in a smartphone or tablet, you will see operation along the bottom of your screen in the edit menu. It may also be called line type if it doesn't say operation, so look out for that as well. And with this rectangle selected, if I click on the drop down menu underneath operation, you will see lots and lots of different options become open to me. Now, the default option for your Cricut machines is always cut because they are predominantly digital cutting machines. But of course, a Cricut machine can do so much more than just cutting. At the moment, I've got Maker 3 selected because that's the machine that I am using. But if I go down to Joy, and we say that we're using a Joy instead, and with that rectangle selected, I click on that operation drop down, you can now see all of the options that are open to you if you're using a Joy machine. So you could cut that rectangle out of, say, card or vinyl if you wanted to, or you could draw or foil it with a pen or the foiling tool in your Joy machine. If I was to click on Explore and do the same again, you'll see some more options become available to you. So you also now have the score option because you can add the scoring stylus into an Explore machine. And if we go into the Maker 3 or the Maker, we now also have various different cut options. So you also have the wavy blade or the perforated blade, and as well as the pen, foil and score options. And you can score with the scoring stylus or the scoring wheels, single or double on the Maker machine. You also have deboss and engrave. Okay, so let's say that I want to cut a rectangle out of card, and then I would also like my Cricut machine to write a name on top of that piece of card to make, say, a little place name to go at a table setting. So we've got this rectangle and it currently says cut against that rectangle. So with the rectangle selected, you can see up on the operation here, it says cut. So that's great. That's what we want to happen. Let's now add some text on top of the rectangle for my Cricut machine to write on top. So I'll click on text over here on the design menu. I'm just going to write my name, Kate, and we'll move my name over to the rectangle. Let's use that lovely align command again in the edit menu. So I'm going to select both of those layers, find align on the edit menu, and let's click center. Brilliant. Okay, so if I click on the text for now, and then I go up to operation, you'll see at the moment, as always, it has default selected cut. But if we click on that drop down and then go down to pen, you will see that magically it has now changed to the outline of my name, and my machine now knows to draw the text. But there's one more thing that we need to do that you might remember from earlier on. If I click on make it now, you'll see that my machine thinks that they are two completely separate layers. So it has got the drawing on one mat or on one material, and it's got the rectangle on another. So what we need to do, if you recall back, is select those two items and click on attach. And now my machine knows that those two layers need to remain in those positions in relationship to each other. So now if I click on make it, you will see that it has got pen and cut on one mat or on one material, and they have stayed exactly in position in relationship to each other. So that's brilliant. But you might be thinking, oh, actually, I would like that text to look a little bit more as if I had written it myself, rather than it just being the outline of text. So let's just select the text layer on the layers panel over here. And then if I click on the drop down under font, you will see the font menu appear on your screen. And what you want to look for is this little filter option here. So that might be in a slightly different place if you're on a smartphone or tablet, but what you're looking for is 2 or 3 lines parallel to each other with kind of juxtaposed dots, one on each line. If you click on that, you'll see this filter menu appear, and what you want to select is writing. And now all of the fonts that have appeared available to us are all fonts that have a writing option. Let's choose this one here, say. I select that and you will see that my text, oh, it's moved slightly. Let me move it back up again. But my text is now more how it would be if you were actually writing it yourself. So it's not the outline, it's actually just a single line like it would be if you were writing it yourself. So with that layer selected, let me just show you. So I'm going to click up on this style option beside the font, which you'll find in the edit menu along the bottom of your screen if you're on smartphone or tablet. It's selected the writing option. If you wanted to go back to the outline, you can just click on regular. Do you see? So that's really handy if you want to use your pen or indeed your foiling tool to write on some card or something like that. Well done for following along. That was so much information, but hopefully you found everything really useful and you'll be able to implement some of those commands and those techniques when you're creating your own projects in Design Space. Next up, we have the final portion of this workshop, which is the live make-along, and we're going to be making a layered vinyl sticker like this one here. If you'd like to make along, you will need to switch on your Cricut machine, make sure it's in range of your device, and you will also need the tools and materials that we're going to use to create this project. So you'll need a blank. I'm using a water bottle like this one here. You'll also need some vinyl. I am using black and yellow. This is actually smart vinyl and this is regular vinyl. You can use either depending on which Cricut machine you're using. If you're using regular vinyl or offcuts of smart vinyl, you'll also need a mat to feed into your machine. You'll need some transfer tape. I've just got a little piece of transfer tape here, which I know is going to be the right size for my project. And then tools wise, you will need some scissors, a weeding tool, like this one here. An applicator is really, really handy, so you might want to get one of those. And also a scraper tool like this one here. Right, let's get started. Back over to my screen, and we are in Design Space on the home screen. First thing you need to do is make sure that you have the right machine selected according to which one you're using. I'm using the Maker 3. And then you can click on New Project that will take you onto your canvas. If you're on a smartphone or a tablet, you might see that New Project button, rather than being at the top right, you'll see a green plus button along the bottom of your screen. So click that one instead. Right, let's dive in. I am going to first of all go over to the design menu on the left hand side. So this is going to be along the bottom of your screen on the smartphone or tablet. Click on Shapes and then click on the circle to add a circle onto your canvas. What you want to do next is take your blank and just measure the space that you've got available to you on your blank. So I know that I would like the width of this project to be 6 centimetres wide, and then I've got about 10 centimetres in height. So just do the same for your blank to check the space that you have available to you. So you can change the size either by dragging with that straight double-ended arrow on the corner of your shape, or you can go up or down if you're on a smartphone or tablet to the edit menu, find size and then click on width and type in the width that you would like your shape to be. So let's click on duplicate in that quick actions menu, which is at the top of the layers panel if you're on desktop, or if you are on smartphone or tablet, you will find duplicate along the bottom of your screen. Now we have 2 circles which are exactly the same as each other. We'd like one of these circles to be 1 centimetre smaller than the first one. So again, remember you can do that by dragging the double straight-ended arrow in the corner, or for precision, you can go to the edit menu and type over 1 centimetre smaller on the width for your second circle. Let's just change the colour of this smaller circle now to yellow. So select the small circle and then go to this little colour block here, which is at the top of your screen on a desktop. And if you're on smartphone or tablet, you're looking for the edit menu along the bottom of your screen and the little square or circle of colour that you can click on and then find yellow. We actually want this larger circle to be black. At the moment it is dark grey, so I'm going to click on the larger circle and do the same again and then click black. Now we want this smaller circle to be centered over the larger circle. So let's highlight both layers and then go to Align on the Edit menu and click on Center. And you will see that they are now centered over each other. There's one little tip that I didn't mention to you earlier, which is really, really worth knowing. So at the moment, the yellow circle is on top of the black circle. And that's because the smaller circle, the circle that we have since made smaller, is the latest, the most recent circle, the most recent item that we have added onto the canvas. So it's on the top. You can change the order of anything on your canvas by just dragging and dropping on the layers menu over here. So say we wanted this black circle to be on top, you can just find it on the layers menu and drag it to the top, and then that will become the uppermost layer on your canvas. You can obviously do the same again by dragging the yellow one onto the top. If it's quicker for you, which it might be if you're using a smartphone or a tablet, there is also an arrange option or command within the edit menu, which does exactly the same thing. But this is just a quick way of doing that if you're on desktop. Okay, so now what we're going to do is slice that yellow circle out from the black circle. So we'll select both of them. And if you remember, because we've just got 2 layers that we've selected, we can use the slice option. So let's do that. Click on slice, and you will now see that we have got the yellow circle. We've got the black bit which has been cut out, and we also have the black frame. We don't need this black circle here, so we can delete that. I'll just use the quick command on the top of my layers panel, but you can hit delete if you prefer on your keyboard. And now that yellow circle will fit perfectly inside the black circle. But if you can see, it's quite tricky to manually place that circle perfectly inside the yellow. So what we're going to do is just enlarge the yellow circle very slightly. And what that will do is it means when you come to layer up your vinyl on your project, especially if you're placing it onto a curved blank, it will minimize the risk of you having any little gaps in between those 2 layers. At the moment, my yellow circle is uppermost, but actually I want the frame uppermost. So let's drag so the frame is on the top. Brilliant, there we go. What we need to do next is add the little bee. So let's click on images over here on the design menu and type in the word bee into that universal search bar. Click the magnifying glass and oh gosh, loads and loads of bee options come up. Like I say, there is rarely anything I've typed into the image search and not had anything appear for. In fact, I can't even think of an instance when that's happened. It's so brilliant. Now we've got lots and lots of bees appeared here on the search results, but I want us to all have the same bee image. So what we're looking for is this filter option, which automatically appears if you're on desktop, but if you're on smartphone or tablet, it might not be there. So what you need to look for is the little filter icon, which is 2 or 3 horizontal lines with little juxtaposed circles on them. So look for that, click on that, and then you should have the filter option appear on your screen. And then if you click on free, it means that all of the freebie bee images will appear on your screen. We're going to click this one over here. So if we select that on add to canvas, and then the bee will appear on your screen. First of all, we want to change the orientation so that the bee is going upwards. You can either do that by hovering in one of the corners until you have that curved double-ended arrow and move it around, or if you prefer, if you go to the edit menu at the top of your screen if you're on desktop, or the bottom of your screen on smartphone or tablet, click on rotate and just type in 270, and then it will mean that your bee is facing northwards. Okay, so we want to move the bee over onto our design, and it needs to be a bit smaller. In my case, it might be larger in your case, but what we want to do is make sure that the 2 side edges, so the tips of the wings, are just about touching the black frame. What I'm going to do, just to demonstrate this to you, is change the colour of the frame and the bee to white, because then you'll be able to see the cut lines of this design. Let's move that yellow circle out of the way for now. So I'm going to move the bee over. You don't need to change the colour of yours. It's absolutely fine. You can stay as black. I'm going to make the bee very slightly larger There we go. So as you can see at the moment, the two tips of the wings are overlapping that frame. Let me select those two items again, and I'm going to go back to my favorite align command, and I'm going to center horizontally. And now what I'd like to do is I'd like the bee and the frame, because ultimately they're both going to be black, and I would like them to be one continuous cut on one piece of vinyl. So where they're overlapping at the wings here, I would like that to be one continuous piece of vinyl without those cut lines. So I'm going to select them both and then go down to the combine menu and click on unite. I've just realised I didn't mention weld to you earlier. I'll quickly mention it now, but you really don't need to worry about it too much. Only difference between weld and unite are that you can't unweld anything further down the line in your project. So whereas with unite, if you unite any layers on your canvas, and then you decide further down the line that you made a mistake or you'd like to change your design decision and ununite something, you can do that. But had you clicked weld, you couldn't unweld. So if I were you, I would not use weld, just use unite, and then it means you've always got that option later on if you wanted to. Okay, so we're going to click on unite, and you will see, there we go, perfect. So those cut lines have now disappeared. This is one piece of vinyl. So let's change it back to black again. Okay, we can move that yellow back behind. Brilliant. Okay, so that is all done for the bee motif part of our sticker. We just need to add a little bit of text underneath. So if you click on text on the design menu, and I'm going to type in "Be kind." I would like this text to be the same width as our sticker. So let me see if I can get it exact. Oh, it's so hard. Let's just go up to the edit menu, click on 6, which was the width of my sticker. And then if we highlight everything, go to align again and click center horizontally. There we go, that's perfect. And that's pretty much exactly where I'd like it, underneath my sticker as well. So at the moment, Be Kind is in grey, so it's a slightly different colour, but actually I'd like that Be Kind layer to be black as well, the same as the black of this sticker up here. And I would also like it to be attached, so then I won't have to worry about repositioning that text underneath the circular sticker on my blank. So to do that, there are various ways. You could just select this united layer and the Be Kind layer on your layers panel by clicking them both. Or what you could do, if you'd like to, is just hide that yellow layer for now. Do you remember, by clicking on the eyeball? And then we can just select these other layers and click on attach. And they will automatically all be made the same colour, because anything attached is always the same colour. And then that's done. And then we can go back to the layers panel, click on the eyeball again, and then the yellow layer returns to our canvas. We're ready to go. We're ready to actually cut the vinyl out on our Cricut machine. So let's click on Make It. And at this point here, your device will probably ask you whether you're loading your material into a machine without a mat or on a mat. So if you're using a Maker 3, Explore 3 or Joy, you've got the option of using a smart material, which you can feed directly into your Cricut machine. Any of the other machines, you will need to pop your material onto a mat, or indeed if you're using a Joy, Explore 3 or Maker 3 with regular vinyl or an offcut of smart vinyl, you can use mat then as well. I'm going to do that in this case, so I'm going to click on mat and then confirm. Okay, we've got the black layer that it's asking us to cut first. So I've got some black vinyl here. This is actually an offcut of smart vinyl. So I can still use this on a mat in my machine. So I'm going to place the vinyl down in the top left-hand corner of my mat and use the applicator tool to make sure that it is stuck down in place. Okay, then we can click continue on screen and just select the Cricut machine that you're using. Next thing you need to do is select your material. It's really important that you choose the exact correct material because your machine will be calibrated to cut at exactly the right depth. And now I'm going to load my material into my machine. Press the load button. And then if you are using a mat, you can remove the mat off the back of your vinyl. Just turn your mat over and peel it back from the back of your vinyl, just making sure that the vinyl stays nice and flat. Then we can take the yellow, pop that onto our mat as well. Of course, if you're using smart vinyl, you'll just feed it directly into your machine. Make sure it's well adhered to the mat if you are using the mat. And then we're ready to start weeding our designs. So you'll need your weeding tool for this step. Just pop the point of the weeding tool underneath the vinyl at some point away from your design and start to peel it back. And then you should see that the vinyl that you've cut remains on that carrier sheet and you can remove everything else. So just keep going and carefully try not to damage any of the vinyl on your actual design. Just remove all of the portions that you no longer need. Okay, next up, we'll take our piece of transfer tape. You can reuse transfer tape multiple times, and you can now also get linerless transfer tape that comes without a backer for even less wastage, which is absolutely brilliant. So take your transfer tape, and first of all, we're going to place the transfer tape onto the black portion of our sticker. There are grids on the transfer tape, so you can line up the grid lines on the tape with the bottom of your text if you'd like to be really precise. Then take your scraper tool, give it a quick rub on the top, and then let's turn it over and rub really firmly, or burnish really firmly on the back of your design. You can apply quite a lot of pressure here because what the aim is to transfer the vinyl from this carrier sheet onto the transfer tape so that we can then place it onto our blank. And then when you're ready, you can start to peel the carrier sheet back. You may find it easier to push down with one hand and peel back with the other hand, and try and peel back at about a 45-degree angle. So you should see that your design is attached to your transfer tape. If it's not at any point, well, we're doing okay so far, that's good. But if it's not at any point, just push down with a little bit more pressure, like that, and you should find that it sticks okay. That's that part done. And now we need to add the yellow layer behind the black layer. What we need to do is make sure we've got no gaps between the yellow and the black frame. Place it down, that looks good. And again, you can do a little bit of pressure on the top and then turn it over. Apply more pressure behind, and then we'll peel it back again. There we go. And now the last step, we're ready to apply this onto our blank. I've got a bottle here which could roll around all over the place, so you might find it helpful just to pop a couple of your Cricut tools on either side to stop it from rolling around all over the place, like so. And then take your vinyl sticker, place it on your blank. You might want to do the centre first and then wrap the sides down one at a time. And then you can use your scraper tool again, just to make sure that it's firmly adhered onto your blank, like so. And then you can peel your transfer tape back, but this time peel it right back on itself rather than at that 45-degree angle. There we go. Isn't that fantastic? Well done if you made along with me. Give yourself a round of applause. We have covered so much ground in this workshop. I know it's an awful lot to take in, but thank you for staying with me, and I hope you feel like you've learned a lot. We would love to see pictures of your makes, so if you would like to share them on social media, please remember to tag us. We are at Cricut_UK on both Instagram and TikTok. It's well worth following us on both of those channels as well, because we are always sharing loads and loads of ideas and inspiration. We go live on TikTok every Thursday evening at 8:30 UK time. So if you'd ever like to join in for a make along, or to learn some new hints and tips, or see any of the new materials or things that we have, then that is a great time to do that. If you have any questions at all, you can always email us. Our email address is ukcricketlearn@cricut.com, and we will always make sure that somebody gets back to you with any questions that you might have. We host regular Q&A sessions online. They are live sessions with one of our experts getting back to you on any questions that you might have submitted in advance. So look out for those. They are advertised on our blog, which is officialcricketblog.co.uk, and just look for the events section up there. Remember to check Cricut Learn for any new workshops that we might have coming up, so that we can share lots more tips and hints and techniques with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I really hope you've enjoyed this session as much as I've enjoyed teaching it, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.